Welcome back. This is the MAONO PD100W wireless microphone. Now this is a dynamic microphone, meaning that it doesn't require power for the microphone part, but it is usable over wireless and over USB. So you've got two modes of operation, and MAONO has created this design as really targeted at a gaming market. But in my testing, the sound quality is really first rate on this microphone, and I have found a use for it in using it as my voiceover mic for content creation while traveling, because it comes in this really nice kit with a detachable base that you can just screw this base off. Now this has the smaller size screw on here, but the adapter is already here that you can screw out if you want to put it onto a larger stand or boom arm that needs something like that. And this little base is, nice and portable, but it's heavy enough to hold the mic up. It's not particularly tall in this configuration, but of course you could attach this to any kind of stand or boom arm that you might have available. When I shot the original video, which was actually a week or two ago, I was showing how this base screwed on. And if you look at the adapter here, it looks like this takes the larger size, the 5/8 inch adapter to put on the included base, but it doesn't. If you look up inside there, there is the threads also for the 3/8 adapter, so you don't need this. And in the original video, this looked kind of wobbly because I had this insert in here and then I had it threaded on. Well, you don't need to do that. You need to take that off and then thread this in if you want to create a stand with the unit like this. In that case, it's not wobbly at all. Now I also have been using this mic at my desk, at my workstation, using this, which is the Rode DS2, which is a really nice solid desk stand that gives you a variety of height adjustments. And this has the 3/8 adapter, or the 3/8 thread on there, so then you would need to use this adapter. And this little adapter does come with the microphone. We're going to go over a little bit about the construction of this mic. I just skipped right over the unboxing. It does come in a nice boxed package, and there's a nice quick start guide printed right on the inside of the box. So if you lose the paperwork, at least you've got this, and it shows kind of the basics of setting it up. But that setup is very easy with it. And it does also come with a couple of setup guides, a reasonably good manual, and another one-page guide with the QR codes to get more information about the mic and its software, which is one of the key things about it. Now, generally, if you find the listings for this on Amazon or on the MAONO website, you're going to find it comes with a kit like this that includes the wireless receiver. It's a transceiver because it will send and receive sound to and from the microphone, because the microphone acts as an audio interface. A little bit more on that later. And so this is kind of the default now with the USB, but there will be kits available for it with a camera type adapter or with a lightning adapter according to the manual. But on the sites I've seen it come in a kit like this or a kit like this with a boom arm, which is another great package. And the thing is that this is so affordable. The list price is $79.99 for the setup, and it's been discounted to like $55 or things like that, either through my affiliate link, which will give you 30% off, or through Amazon. Now, before I get into the key features of this, one of the things that you might have wondered is, how does this compare to the PD200W? And I'm going to try to cut to the chase and get some of those facts to you right away now to help you if you're going to make a buying decision about one or the other of these, or if you just like these mics and want to just understand what's different. So this is the PD200W. It comes in a more premium style kit. You can see right away you've got a taller, much more sturdy stand. You also have an integrated shock mount on this microphone, and you have the option to run it through XLR, which is something you will not get on this mic. And one of the big selling points of this is that you can use two of these with the receiver looks the same, but it's not the same. I mean, I've tried connecting these mics to these two different receivers. Even though they look the same, they're paired or set up to go with the specific mic. So if you wind up with both of these like I do, then it's probably a pretty good idea to put a label on the back, which I've done for my microphones. But the really cool thing with this is that for a podcast setup or a two-person interview configuration, you can just use two of these mics. So at the recent CES show, Mono had set up a podcast station, and you'll see me in this clip here doing a kind of a test podcast with Tobias from Mono. And what an amazing, easy setup. Basically, you connect this to your camera, just put two of these on the table and put headphones in them, and you're ready to go. You could just record video and audio to your phone, and it's just a wonderful, easy, and good sounding setup. I was impressed with this mic when I reviewed it, and it is also very affordable at $129 and discounted also 30%. And the dual podcasting capability is just really, really cool. Now that doesn't work with this microphone because it's a one-channel device. So over wireless, the PD100W does not do that dual podcasting kind of configuration. And you can also buy this with two of these and one receiver, and just a really, really cool setup. So that's one big difference. And like I said before, this has XLR. However, I've done a side-by-side recording test with this, and generally the sound quality is identical. If you look inside these two mics, they have a slightly different size cage, where this one's a little bit bigger and this is a little bit smaller, but internally there, if you look closely, the capsule, this dynamic capsule, is just basically the same thing. And therefore the sound quality winds up being about the same. And the lower price mic does have an upgrade, I feel like, that's a little better than one of the features on here, and I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. So there's also a little bit fancier build on this one here. Like I said, it has the shock mount, and it has a little hard plastic ring here on the foam cover that slips on like this. And this is just a plain foam cover, a little more square in its construction. And I think the reason that it's square is because it's got a one-sided attachment to the bracket. So while this has this shock mount that comes all the way around it, this is connected to one side. And it would make more sense, I think, for this to attach on a flat surface like this. But this does give you the ability to easily position this. The mic is lightweight enough that there's really no problem at all with the way that works. Both of them have a light ring, so let's turn it on. You hold this in for a few seconds, and then you'll see that it lights up. This is the RGB lighting. There's also an indicator light on top, and the lighting is the same between these two mics. However, the location of it is a thin strip here on this mic, and it's all the way around the back of it on the other mic. So since we're focusing on the PD100, I'll put that to the side, and then I'll show you that if you click the power button, then it will cycle through the different colors. So these are the basic colors, and then this is the kind of a ring effect where the RGB kind of cycles around it. I thought this was a little bit, something I wouldn't use. In reality, I do use it. The reason I use it is because these things are battery operated, and the PD200 has become my default voiceover mic on my desk. And the reason is because it's wireless. I've only had this a short time, so I haven't used it that way, but I leave it on. Like, I leave it on all day. It will time out if you don't use it for a while, and it will eventually go off. But I leave it on, and I leave the light on because that tells me that the mic's on, so that when I leave, I shut it down. And periodically you need to charge it. But my experience with this is that it lasts a very long time. When I go into the MAONOLINK app, it will tell you how much battery you have, and I don't think I've ever seen it go below 90% so far after leaving it quite a bit. But I do hook them up by USB and charge them. Now, the feature that I thought was better on this mic is the way the mute works. So let's take a look at the top of the mic. You have this dial, and if you use this dial, you're going to control, with the first click, you're controlling the headphone level. And then with the second click, you control the mic gain level. And so you've got those, and the amount of it is sort of indicated here. And so you could see mic and headphones, so the levels are set there. But this is a tap or a touch activated. So when it's in this mode, you'll see that it blinks red like this, and then it's blinking. It's into a mute mode at that point. So the mute is on a touch, and therefore it doesn't make as much noise on the PD200. It's a button, and when you click it, I mean, it's a really nice, bright indication, but if you click it, it makes an audible sound in your recording when you do that. And it's not like I use that very much. I would be more likely to use that on a Zoom call or something, in which case I don't care as much. But if I'm making content or on a live stream or something like that, I don't really like that kind of clicking sound. The other thing, though, is you're a little more likely to accidentally hit that when you're adjusting the mic, because you might do something like this, wind up hitting that mute. Let's take a look at the back. So on the back, it's really simple. We have the headphone jack with a 3.5 millimeter stereo connection, and it will play back. You can set this up as the sound card on your computer and listen back. That is 16-bit audio at 48K, but for recording, it's 24-bit audio at 48K. So the recording quality is great. The playback quality is also fine, but it is 16-bit. There is a separate button here for AI, and that AI is the noise reduction. So it uses, I'm not sure if you'd really technically call that AI, but it's really machine learning that actually identifies the noise and reduces the noise, and you can adjust the level, or the amount of that as well. And then here's your USB-C connection. And so that is pretty much the explanation of the mic from this point of view. One of the really cool things we saw at the CES show is that later this year, this mic will be available in a variety of really cool and fun colors. So if you want to set up a gaming setup or a creator or live streaming setup where you have a microphone that matches the branding of your set, then you might be able to find something like this. I saw one that was in white. I really like the look of the white one, which will be available sometime later on in 2026. So with that, we're going to continue this at the computer, and I'm going to show you how this looks as an audio interface, and we'll do a sound test as well. All right, so now we're back on the Mac, and to understand how this works as an audio interface, I'm going to show you how it looks in Audio MIDI setup. If you look into Audio MIDI setup on the Mac, you'll see that it appears as a 1 input, 0 output sound device on here, audio interface, and it has 48 kHz with one channel of 24-bit audio. And then for the outputs, it is 48 kHz, 2-channel, 16-bit integer. And in this regard, it's very, very similar to the PD200W. However, the PD200W will appear virtually identically to this. You also have the option of connecting it wirelessly using the USB transceiver into your computer. Now, I'm not going to show that right now because I've got the transceiver at the same time connected to my phone. I'm recording USB to the computer and wirelessly to the phone at the same time, and it's one of the really cool things about the PD100W. I'm going to show you a little bit about the MAONOLINK app on the iPhone. But before I do that, let's just show how this will appear in a digital audio workstation. So to do that, I've set up a project here in SoundBridge, and what I've got is it coming in on one channel here, and if I just click record, then I'll start recording. You can see that I'm recording everything that I'm saying directly into SoundBridge, and the way this will appear to your digital audio workstation is you've got this MAONO PD100W USB mic as your input, and we could also set that as the output as well if we want to play back the audio through the headphones connected to the mic. Now, I had it set up connected to my external sound card, which you could also do, but in this case, I've got a 48 kilohertz project, and then I've got the input set up like this. It appears as one mono input, and then I don't need it as mono output, so I set it as a stereo output and one mono input. So in my project, I've just created a mono track, and now I can record to the track. Now, interestingly, if you connect it up through the wireless, then it will appear as a stereo input. So you could use it as a stereo input, even though both sides are going to be the same thing. Now, let's take a look at the app. While I'm recording this, the heater came on in my room, so you might be able to hear a little background noise, but I'm going to turn on the noise reduction feature right here. You can see I've got microphone gain, I've got the monitoring volume, this is the headphone volume, and right here I'll turn on the noise reduction. This is slight noise reduction. I wonder if you can hear the heater that's in the background. Let's change it to moderate. This is the moderate noise reduction. You can see that it really reduces that background noise. I'll turn that off now because the heater went back off, and that way you can tell the difference in the vocal quality. Now, I think this mic has a great sound, and the sound is almost identical to the PD100W. I was going to do a direct comparison. When I did the direct comparison, they sound the same. It's just that this mic has basically less features, but it's really a great value because you're getting good sound quality and very similar features. It's just missing some of the premium features of the 200W. Now, it also has scenes. In the desktop app, you'll have more control over the scenes because you can tailor it with EQ curves, and I showed all that in the PD200W video. So I'll link that here so you can take a look at that if you want to see more about the desktop app. But I will give you an example of the sound if you select, say, the gaming mode, which is a little more mid-rangey. So here is the gaming mode 1. That's with the gaming mode 2. These are EQ curves. And then a streaming mode. And there's two options here in the streaming mode. And then here is a singing mode. We have a pop sound and a folk sound. But I'm going to go back to the original. You also have control over the lighting, where you can do the loop, which it's on right now, but you can also choose from the fixed colors and do anything you want. You could turn the lights on and off here as well. And there's some other features related to the monitoring, and I went over how all of this works. Now, one thing that's really useful on here is that you've got your level meter up at the top under the picture of the mic, and then this is the mute, which I'll quickly do it, but you won't hear me talk. So there's muting and unmuting, and it will mute the mic. And that is basically a way to do that without making any noise because you don't need to touch the microphone. So with that, I think we'll go back to the bench and talk about my impressions of this mic. Now, I wanted to mention something I've been commonly saying. This is a dynamic microphone. That means a microphone that has a kind of a capsule in it that doesn't require extra power in order to run it. But one of the questions might be is why would you choose a dynamic microphone over what we would call a condenser microphone, which typically has a clearer, brighter sound? Well, the main reason is that the cardioid pattern on this kind of mic does a lot of sound rejection from the back. And so the very common stage mics and amplifier mics, such as the Shure SM57, which is a dynamic mic, has that quality where it picks up really well from the front, but not from the sides or from the back. So that's why this kind of microphone is popular for podcasting and gaming, because you're often not in a perfectly treated studio and you need that rejection from the back of the microphone. And so that's why this kind of thing is popular. And if you take the foam cover off, you could see this type of capsule looks very much like what's on the inside of an SM57, for example. So back at the bench now, what is my impression of this mic? On this channel, I really have spent most of the time on fairly high-end and expensive gear, and it's been enlightening to me over the past year to be introduced to brands like Mono that are producing some really interesting combinations of audio interface and microphones that are really kind of different. I mean, they're not just clones or copies of the same old thing that you see all the time, with different combinations of features. It's been just really fun to take a look at them. And also the packaging has always been really nice and impressive. The staff is very friendly. I've met several of them in person now at the CES show. I'll be out at the NAMM show and I'll see some of them again next week. One of the things that I told them that from the first review is that the cables included are actually not a kind of a throwaway cable. It's a kind of a nice sturdy rubberized cable with a captive adapter for USB-C to USB-A. I thought that was a nice feature. Also, it includes this short adapter as well. Same thing, it's got USB-A to USB-C. But the point of this one is, because you could see the type of connector on here, is that if you want to connect this to some kind of a device and this is not convenient, then you can just plug this in like that. It has the button right on here, so you can turn your noise reduction on and off right there. And on the side, it has another jack so that if you want to connect this to your phone, you can connect up another cable and go off to a charger, use this and be charging your phone at the same time that you're connected wirelessly to the microphone. And this doesn't have to go into a camera. You can connect this into any kind of a computer as well. Mono runs a Discord channel for the users, and there's almost like a user group around this brand, which was kind of new to me, but people who use the Mono products get kind of very passionate about it and seem to really enjoy using these different kinds of things. Another thing that I saw at the CES show is some new audio interfaces that are a little bit more on the high end coming out later this year. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. So I don't think you could go wrong with this if this is the kind of thing you need. Now, I've not tested this with music recording. I think sometime over the year I will do that. But generally for voice speaking, voiceover, and any of the kinds of typical podcasting things, I think this is a great and very low cost way to get into it. So if you want to pick one of these up, please use my affiliate link. And if you don't want to use the affiliate link, you can use the Amazon link. Either will get you about the same price. And this channel gets a little bit of income when people purchase through those links. I also want to mention that all the bench recordings here, you're listening to sound through another product, which is the Mono Wave T5 that has the little clip-on mics and built-in noise reduction as well. I found this so far to be working very well. You've been hearing my voice through it for most of this video. So we'll have more on this coming up in a later video. Thanks for watching. Check out the review of the PD100W and we'll link that right here.